In the middle of a 4-lane street in East St. Louis, a black SUV sat abandoned. Engine cold, doors closed, her glasses still on the seat, her purse, her ID, her shoes. Everything was there. Everything except Phoenix. Her car was found in 3 hours. Phoenix Colden has never been found at all. And in the next 10 minutes, you'll see something stranger than the disappearance itself. Because almost everything that could go wrong in this case did. The wrong state, the wrong report, 2 weeks lost, and a family that would lose everything trying to get their daughter back. This is what happened on December 18th, 2011. Phoenix Colden was 23 years old, born in California as Phoenix Reeves, adopted as a child, and raised in the quiet St. Louis suburb of Spanish Lake, Missouri. By every account, she was remarkable, a junior fencing champion, a musician who played several instruments, mostly homeschooled, deeply religious, close to her parents, Goldia and Lawrence. That Sunday began like any other. Phoenix went to church with her mother. She sat 2 pews behind her during the service. Afterward, while her mother stayed to talk with friends, Phoenix waited out in the truck and told her, "Don't stay too long." They stopped at a grocery store on the way home. And it was there, according to phone records, that Phoenix made her last known phone call. Back home sometime in the early afternoon, her mother saw her pull into the driveway. Phoenix didn't come inside right away. Goldia assumed she was finishing a call and thought nothing of it. Her father said he saw her back out of the driveway a short while later. He assumed she was running to a store nearby or heading to a friend's house. She usually said where she was going. This time she didn't. That was the last time her family ever saw her. And here's where the first piece stops making sense. Depending on which account you believe, Phoenix left somewhere between 3 and 4:45 in the afternoon. But her car turned up 25 miles away across the state line in another state entirely. If she left at the later time, she would have had to drive straight there, no stops, no detours, directly into one of the most dangerous parts of East St. Louis. At 5:27 that evening, a passerby spotted her black Chevy Blazer sitting in the middle of an intersection at 9th and St. Clair. By 6:23, it had been towed and logged into the system as a simple abandoned vehicle. And that single detail changed everything, because the car was impounded in Illinois. When Missouri police later searched their own system for any sign of Phoenix, her vehicle wasn't there. It was sitting in a tow lot in another state, invisible. Her parents reported her missing the very next day, but no one connected the car to the case. No one called them. For 2 full weeks, the most important piece of evidence in their daughter's disappearance sat in a lot, and they had no idea. They only found it because a family friend happened to drive past the impound lot, recognized the Blazer, and called them. "We would have had a 2-week head start," her father said, "if we'd known where the car was." 2 weeks. In a missing persons case, that is everything. But when the family finally recovered the car themselves, they discovered something that turned confusion into anger. The police report said the vehicle was empty. It was not. Inside were Phoenix's glasses, her purse, her driver's license, her belongings untouched. The police had never made an inventory of the car at all. They had logged it as empty and moved on. If they had simply run the license plate, it would have come back registered to her mother. 1 phone call. That's all it would have taken. It never came. And the deeper investigators looked, the stranger the details became. When forensic teams examined the SUV, they found something that, in a way, deepened the mystery instead of solving it. The only DNA inside the vehicle belonged to Phoenix and her parents. No one else had been in that car. Whatever happened to her, no stranger climbed inside. There were smaller things, too. Things that never fit. Fresh lemon slices in a cup that didn't match any store nearby, leaving her family to wonder where she had stopped and whose home she might have visited that afternoon. A note found in her room, dated the day she vanished, written in a rushed, hurried hand. For years, one version of the story dominated: that the car was found still running, the driver's door hanging open as if she'd fled in a panic. It became the defining image of the case. But the officer who first responded would later say that none of that was true. No open door, no running engine. The car, he said, simply looked like it had run out of gas and been left behind. So which is it? And why would the story change so many years later? It's a question that has never been fully answered. To understand what might have happened, you have to understand that Phoenix, like many young people, had a private side her family didn't fully know. In the months before she disappeared, she had been carrying a quiet weight. Those close to the case have described a young woman who, beneath the accomplishments and the smile, was going through something difficult and lonely. It's a painful human detail, and it's part of who she was. It deserves to be remembered gently. Investigators also learned she had not enrolled for her next semester of college, that she'd once lived briefly with a boyfriend her parents knew little about. Phone records showed the two had spoken many times in the days before she vanished, including one call that lasted nearly 2 hours. When detectives spoke with him, he said he knew nothing, and he was never charged with anything. No one has ever been. From all of this, 3 theories have taken shape. The first, that Phoenix left on her own. That something that afternoon made her walk away from her life. Investigators say they found at least some evidence she may have left willingly, though no one can say what she was running toward or from. There have been reported sightings over the years. None have ever been confirmed. The second, that she crossed paths with the wrong people. East St. Louis was not entirely unknown to her. Her grandmother had lived there. And the third, the one no family ever wants to consider, that she met with violence in a place where her car was left to be forgotten. The truth is, after more than a decade, no one knows. What we do know is what it cost. Didn't wait for the police. Lawrence searched the abandoned buildings of East St. Louis himself, room by room. Goldia spent years speaking with sex workers and people on the streets, anyone who might have seen her daughter. They hired private investigators. They spent their savings. And then came the cruelest moment of all. A man contacted them claiming he knew where Phoenix was, somewhere in Texas. Desperate, they spent the last of their money chasing the lead. It was a lie. He later admitted he had made the whole thing up. There was nothing the authorities could do. The Coldens lost their home. They had given everything, and still their daughter did not come back. Goldia once said that if Phoenix had looked different, if she had been a blonde girl who vanished on vacation, the cameras never would have left. Instead, her case was met for years with near silence. Phoenix Colden was found, in a sense, within 3 hours, her car at least, sitting alone in an intersection, engine cold, her glasses still resting on the seat. But Phoenix herself stepped out of the world that December afternoon and never stepped back in. The car came home. She never did. Real cases, real investigations, no answers. Vanished.